Welcome. We're back here in silver for the penultimate round of the season. We've only got 1 week to go in this season. It's been the longest season ever, as I'm sure Sean has touched on in gold yesterday as well. It's the longest season ever in ALR history. 24 rounds of different circuits, of course, throughout the season. We are on to the 23rd of those rounds tonight here in China. Shanghai International Circuit is the host for the 23rd round of the season. This Grand Prix, not everyone's favourite track, unfortunately, but hopefully we'll have some entertaining racing for you later on tonight. Craigar is setting the pace. He is the first driver out on track in the McLaren here tonight. So yeah, looking forward to seeing how it's going to develop. This race looks very dry in the qualifying, at least. We're not sure what the weather's going to be like for the race. We'll have to find out in the comment section, hopefully. But ALR from Gordo in the comment section, and from Jake the Slayer as well. He is of course reserving in the Hash tonight, which is his I think his first appearance there in this season for ALR as well. Reflection and Dan Murphy have decided to start from the back, it looks like. But here comes Craigar now down the back straight, the fastest the cars are going to be along the lap time here in China. The fastest straight, DRS of course available down this straight as well before we get to the hairpin, which we might see some overtakes being made at in the latter part of the races. Around the final corner we go, and of course DRS is available down the main straight as well. But here comes Craigar up to the line to finish off the first flying lap in anger here, and it's a 33.0 there from the McLaren. There puts himself of course P1 for the time being. Slayer has just started his lap there. He's going through the spoon curves of the S's. Equaz there with a fantastic performance there in the Mercedes last night in gold. He got P4, so he's looking to replicate that form here in China tonight. Of course, in silver this time. Up to the line, it's going to be a 32.5 there for the Aston Martin driver. Of course, he switched cars there from last night. He's done a time there half a second ahead of Craigar's time. Dylan there puts himself up into P3. Not a representative time there from Dylan. We saw him, of course, take to the track as well last night in good fashion in the Aston Martin. Both the cars there switching places there, unfortunately, for Equaz and for Dylan. But there we go. Jake the Slayer now back out on track. They're going through sector 2, making sure you get the spoon curve here right. It's very easy to get the power down a bit too early and spin the car around. We've seen a few drivers there having issues. I myself here had an issue there yesterday in gold, so it's not an easy one, although it's probably just my skill level. But there we go, down the back straight we go. VTOP popped himself up into P4. Dopey Lemons there has set a time, but a not representative time there for the Alpine driver. Here comes Slayer now down the back straight. And of course into the heavy braking zone there, the heaviest braking zone as well on the circuit there, into the heavy braking zone of the final hairpin. Well, the final, almost the final turn. It's turn number 16. There's the final turn here. And now up to the line. Where can the Haas driver put himself up into P4 there? 33.469 there, ahead of Dylan there just about by only a few thousandths of a second there. Will reach there into P7. Dopey Lemons there, like I said, P8. There's a few drivers. They just set a quick lap time in anger. Of course, we started a bit early there for silver. So this is the penultimate race of the season for the Silver Showdown. Of course, the driver's title was won last week in Portimao, so a bit of a different circuit to this one, but like I said, we were over in Portimao in round 22, and Nigel clinched the title there for the drivers there, ahead of Equaz there, who had to put up a spirited performance there throughout the season. Unfortunately, couldn't hold on to the pace there from Nigel in the AlphaTauri around Portimao last week, but the drivers is sorted. However, the constructors is still to be claimed, and it could be claimed tonight as well. AlphaTauri and Aston Martin are challenging for this one as well. So, like I said, these two teams, they've been challenging throughout most of the leagues, I think, to be honest. I think it's been between McLaren, Aston Martin and AlphaTauri in gold. And I think, of course, AlphaTauri did clinch that as well in the last week's round in Portimao, in gold, that is. But, of course, in silver, it's still up for grabs between Aston Martin and the AlphaTauri outfit. Irvine has just said it's a dry race, so we can look forward to that one at least. So I think some drivers might be very happy about that, especially around China. In the constructors, 74 points separates Aston Martin and AlphaTauri there for silver. Of course, that means that there's only going to be, what is that exactly, 44 points, I think, on offer in one Grand Prix. That is, of course, that's if both the drivers finish 1-2, and of course one of them gets the fastest lap point as well. So they have to finish 1-2 and get fastest lap to equal that 44 point tally, the maximum you can get for a constructor in one race week. Or 1 race weekend, I should say. So there's only 44 points on offer. So if AlphaTauri outscore, well, actually, to be fair, Aston Martin need to outscore AlphaTauri by quite a way to be able to secure the keep the constructors alive here for the final round, that is, which of course is in Abu Dhabi in 1 week's time. The traditional finishing point there for all the seasons, for all F1 seasons, really, isn't it now? The Abu Dhabi circuit used to be, of course, Brazil. Which has now been booted back to the penultimate race. It's not even that anymore, I don't think, is it? Because I think Las Vegas is going to be after Brazil nowadays. So then we're going to be going from Las Vegas all the way to Abu Dhabi for the final Grand Prix of the season. Usually it's all settled there for Abu Dhabi, as we've seen the same for some of the silver, some of the gold, and some of the bronze and 100% constructors and title winners have already been sorted. But there's still some points on offer, still some titles to be wrapped up there, either here in China or in the penultimate, or in the final round, I should say, of the season in a week's time. So there's still plenty of points up for grabs. Like I was saying, in the constructors for silver, 74 points separates Aston Martin in P2 from the AlphaTauris in P1. So, like I said, it's still up for grabs technically, because of course mathematically there's 88 points still on offer. But like I said, we'll have to wait and see who's going to be able to, if they're going to be able to clinch that. If of course AlphaTauri do score, unless they only score a couple of points, and Equaz and Dan Murphy can get themselves on the podium, I think the constructors will be wrapped up for AlphaTauri as well tonight. We'll have to do the maths on that one. They, of course, need to finish 45 points ahead, or 45 points ahead there of the Aston Martin, I should say. There we go, to be able to clinch the title tonight there for the constructors. But we'll come back to that one, because I have to do the maths. I have to do the maths on the fly when we're on that situation in the race. But there we go. Right then, so good stuff indeed. Like I said, dry races, Irvine, evening all from Serious Mushroom, and Slayer is in the Haas then. So up to you for the points for Irvine, says Serious Mushroom though. He's not putting his faith there in Slayer, unfortunately, but Slayer's done a good job, so currently in P4. That is not too shabby indeed. They're on board with the diffuser there of the Ferrari of Kamara Racer, because as it goes around the hairpin, turn 15 towards turn 16, if I'm not mistaken. I might be completely wrong on that one, but he's coming into the pits there, and of course it's very easy to get the pit lane entry wrong as well around here. You're going to go very fast in and going to try and get the car slowed down at the right point to make sure you make that left turn. As we've seen in real life, some people have struggled before, like Lewis Hamilton, for example. But there we go. Beast there is unfortunately invalidated his time, but I think he's just about to start another lap now, so he's off he goes again. That is not all done and dusted just yet for him, but here comes Dylan now down the back straight. DRS of course enabled, and into the hairpin he goes. We want to turn the telemetry on so that we can see what sort of VRS usage he's got. He's coming round the final corner now. He's running out to VRS here, but can he get himself a better time on the board? Let's have a look and see as he comes across the line here to finish off his lap. He's up into pole position there for Dylan. 32.490 there, puts himself just ahead of Equaz. There's a car going very... I'm not quite sure who that was there. It was an AlphaTauri there of somebody or other going quite... what was that? They've just... I think it was Nigel there. Nigel just starting a lap though. No, it might have been... I'm not quite sure what's going on there, because it seems like... as Smithy Almighty's also pulled off to the side of the track as well. So it seems like there's all sorts of going on here, because I'm not quite sure. I thought the AlphaTauris are both starting their lap now, as we've got yellow flags. Yellow flags for who? But it seems like it's just an Alfa Romeo slowing down. Welshman has popped himself up into P6 there. Sorry, Cassell has put himself up into P4. Both the Alfa Romeos looking great indeed at this stage of qualifying. Good stuff indeed, right between, sandwiching the Haas of Jake the Slayer at the moment. So good stuff from both of them. We will ride on board. Who we will ride on board with next? I think we'll go on board with Beast there. He's going to be finishing off this lap now as he comes round the hairpin. Let's have a look and see what car number... I think it's car number 36 there in the McLaren can do. No, it's not. Maybe it's car 66 there. It's got a 6 at the end of it somewhere up to the line, and it is P6 there as well for the McLaren. There is something destined about that, of course. He puts himself up into P6. That does improve by 3 places as well with that time as well. Good stuff indeed there from Beast. Let's have a look and see what his teammate can do. Can his teammate pip him to the post? He's already in P4. He's up into P3. He's improved by 0.3 of a second as well. Good stuff indeed. Kamara Race has been disqualified for blocking the pit lane, and I think that's because he was trying to come out. He was trying to get himself out ahead of, trying to sort of himself out and trying to get himself ahead of Craig R, who was actually coming across the line there. So I'm not quite sure what's happened to Kamara Racer. He's had a problem there coming out of the pit lane, and V Todd I think was right behind him, and I think that's cost his teammate a place in this qualifying, unfortunately. So both Dan Murphy and Kamara Racer disqualified from the session for blocking the pit lane, and unfortunately they've not been able to park in the right places, have they? Here comes Gordo there to start his next flying lap. Farber's back in the pits. Nigel's back in the pits as well. So both the AlphaTauris abandoning their lap time there on the last occasion. I'm not quite sure what happened to into turn one as well. It seemed like some people getting their sights mixed up. Serious Mushroom said Dylan Ronhard grip activated. No idea what you're on about there. Of course, Serious Mushroom, we don't have any cheats. Of course, we don't know nobody's cheating. Of course, in any of the F1 games or F1 esports or anything like that, as far as we know. So that is all we can say. Allegedly, that is. So yes, good stuff. And there we go, almost gold pace as well, says Serious Mushroom with Smithy coming around the spoon curve. They're having to correct the car as it's just trying to get away from him there as he goes around the spoon curve, and I think has abandoned his lap time as well, unfortunately, for the Williams driver. Gordo is still going though as he comes around sector 2. So very easy to go over the curbs here as well, and he's almost gone over the curbs here, looking like he's trying to hold onto that car as it tries to slip away from him. He's had to slow down as well, I think. Or has he? He's gone over the corner there. I'm not quite sure what's going on with Gordo there. He's not having a good time. They're trying to get his lap in. VTOD just starting a lap as well. Here comes Equaz down the back straight. I think he's on a lap. Yes, he is. So we'll have a ride on board there with the Aston Martin. Looking at the rear wing there of the Aston Martin at that occasion. But now into the hairpin again into the final couple of corners. Of course, trying to get the traction right on this exit as well is very difficult indeed. Equaz though knows how to do it. Oh, he's into the pit lane, so just never mind that. He's ignored my commentary. He's decided to go into the pits. Cassell is back out on track, as is Welshman Nana. Both the Alfa Romeos taken to the track now for their next out laps. There's only 4 minutes left of the session here in Shanghai. But there we go, lost 2/10 on the exit of the last turn and spun, says Gordo. That's what he's that's the problem with Gordo, unfortunately. That's why he's come back, or not come back. He's come back to the pit lane now. Irvine is retired in the pits as well, so that is unfortunately for Serious Mushroom. Irvine not getting any faster, unfortunately, in this occasion, so he's going to be taken to the pit lane there. He's not going to be able to start any higher than P17. There we go. Then VTOD is coming around the spoon curve again. It seems like traction is very difficult around that corner for a few drivers there. They're struggling to keep the car in the right, or pointing in the right direction. They've managed to hold it in the right direction, thankfully. VTOD now down the back straight towards the hairpin once again. You can see the brake marker boards getting closer and closer as he zooms as close as he can towards the final braking point, the last gasp braking point as well. Alfa Romeo there has had a problem there at the exit of the spoon curves in sector 1. Here comes VTOD now round turn 16 though, up to the line. What can the Ferrari do? Can he improve? And can he improve far enough? He's up to P6 there, he's gained about 4/10 of a second there. That's pretty good stuff indeed for VTOD. They're up into P6 there for the Ferrari. Good stuff from him. I think his teammate would have been around that mark as well, but unfortunately we're not going to be able to see Kamara Racer in this qualifying. Apparently there was an issue there with the other Ferrari. They're trying to leave the pit lane. He got disqualified, I think, trying to let drivers go through as well, so he needs to make sure that he keeps on moving. Welshman Nado is still moving as well, but she's starting to go again on another attack. Smithy's put himself on into P10 there for the time being, 34-1 there for the Williams. He's up into the top 10 for now. Right then, speed car yet to set time, same for Favre, same for Gordo for representative time there as well. Nigel as well, the championship winner of all, of course, the drivers' champion there for Silver Season 5, as we crowned last week, is on an out lap as well. Of course, neither of the AlphaTauris were able to set a time on their first attempt, so they're going to have to try and go again around this circuit. And let's have a look and see who's going to be coming across the line next. I think it's going to be Welsh Madnado. I think VTOD is coming back in. Cassell is going to start another lap. Craig Archer is about to start another lap as well. Let's have a look and see what the Alfa Romeo of Welsh Madnado can do, going through sector 2 now as well. And Serious Mushroom said, just give Becca a wide berth. Oh, that's very nice indeed. Maybe she should be the driver of the day candidate, I think, Serious Mushroom. So that is, of course, that is a running joke. But there we go. Serious Mushroom is, sorry, not Serious Mushroom, Welsh Madnado now going through into Sector 3. Sector 3, of course, is basically just a couple of corners, really, because you've got one long spoon curve there at the beginning of Sector 3, and then you've got one hairpin, and then a bit of a left-hander there to finish off the lap as well. Down the back straight we go. Looking good indeed so far for the Alfa Romeo. Let's see if she can improve from a 33.4. and Kamara Racer is having issues apparently. So there we go, round the final corner we go for Welsh Maldonado up to the line. What's it going to be for her? It's almost a 4/10 improvement as well. P6 there for Welsh Maldonado. V Todd has retired, I think, in the pit lane. So that is her done dusted. Farf is out on track. Nigel is on a lap as well, coming through sector 2. Let's have a look and see what the champion is going to be able to do on his own. I think it's only his only flying lap attempt here. I think Farf needs to get a move on as well, because Farf is going to miss the time now. I think Speed is just getting himself onto the track now to start a lap. But Farf there is going to miss out, I think, on the line. Unfortunately for the AlphaTauri, I think he's going to get a nice little tow here from his teammate though, for Nigel that is. But down the back straight we go, as a Williams there trying to get a bit of a tow as well, it looks like, as we go down into the hairpin as well. And, oh, what was that? Farf and, yeah, there was a Williams there. Farf, I don't think you noticed that. As Dylan, I think it was actually. Dylan there has been squeezed out there by Farf, as Nigel there puts himself up into P9. Only to P9 for the AlphaTauri driver. The champion there is not having a good time there in qualifying. Not sure what Farf did there. He seemed to block the attempts of Dylan, who's currently on pole position. I don't know if Equaz can say something about that, though. He's coming around the spoon curve of Sector 3 now. But yeah, it seems like there's a few people having issues in qualifying and just getting in the way. I think Farf being the main candidate, but we saw some issues with the Alfa Romeos as well earlier on, and of course Kamara, they're being disqualified in the qualifying as well for blocking the pit lane. So some people having some serious awareness problems, it looks like, in the qualifying. Now up to the line, can Equaz pip Dylan to pole position? Let's have a look and see. It's going to be close indeed, I think, but Dylan is currently P2 as Equaz takes pole position by just over a tenth of a second there, and I think that might be, as Brabbit puts himself up into P2 as well. We haven't mentioned Brabbit so far in this qualifying, but he's put himself on the front row of the grid with a fantastic lap time indeed, and only just ahead of Dylan. Dylan, I think, not been able to improve on his time. Is going to be P3 at best. Welsh Maldonado coming down the back straight, but she's not on a flying lap, unfortunately. Gordo puts himself up into P12, and I think that's it, apart from Speed Kai, who's unfortunately invalidated, so he's going to be starting P15 in this session as well. Blimey, that was one hell of a qualifying, because it seemed like everyone was just trying to get in each other's way rather than set a lap time, to be honest. Dylan, I think, there was impeded there by Farf, and that's cost him potentially a podium here, or not podium, sorry, a pole position here as well. Dylan, I think, was on track for it looked like, at least. Equaz there takes pole position, though, with a fantastic lap time indeed of 32.373 for the Aston Martin as well. Front row there for Brabbit in P2. That's not too shabby indeed, and only 0.04 of a second there back to Dylan in P3. Craig R in P4, good qualifying from him as well. Both the Alfa Romeos P5 and P7, that's good qualifying from them too, as Jake the Slayer puts himself in between the Alfa Romeos in a bit of a sandwich there. 33.0 for him as well, good stuff indeed. V Todd in P7 and P8, sorry, I should say. Nigel in P9, not very good qualifying there for the champion. He did get a tow as well down the back straight from his teammate, but it didn't seem to work out for him, unfortunately. Ultimate Beast in P10, just inside the top 10, and outside the top 10 we've got Dopey Lemons and Gordo, and I think that is our qualifying done and dusted. Right then. Oh, and Smithy Almighty, sorry, in P13. Good stuff indeed. Right then, what a qualifying we've had. So wonderful stuff. Only a tenth of a, or just over a tenth of a second separates the top three. So it's very tight indeed at the top. Unfortunately, a few drivers they didn't get a time in, so they will be starting at the back of the grid, because that's where they deserve to be. Unfortunately for Kamara Racer, that's not for him. He was, of course, disqualified because he was blocking the pit lane by accident, I think. Just trying to get, or trying to make sure he left space there into turn one for some of the drivers coming through. But there we go. Then Gordo, they're saying, he's struggling with the rear end of the car. He's got himself up into P12, but hopefully he can, with a bit more fuel on board, hopefully the car is a bit heavier and might make it a bit easier there for the race itself. We'll have to wait and see, as we got the timer there to tick down there. Of course, Equaz on pole position here for the Chinese Grand Prix, the penultimate round of the season as well. We will, of course, have more action for you in well, tomorrow night. We've got bronze, of course. Then we've got Monaco Grand Prix, and 100%, of course, that is going to be one hell of an event. And we have enabled pit and quitting for that one, because obviously it is going to be one hell of a long Grand Prix. And then, of course, in a week's time, we'll be back for Abu Dhabi and some more epic Grand Prix. I do love some nice caps and sweaters. That's good stuff indeed. Right then, we are ready to get ourselves started for the Grand Prix itself. Let's tune in as we get our drivers there lined up on the grid for the formation lap. Of course, we are going to be taking us away there. The strategy predicted is a medium hards. I think the one stop is the faster strategy. It is saying medium hard there for the other strategy, or two stop that is, but I doubt there's going to be many drivers there doing that strategy there. I think the medium to the hards are the best strategy on their own, a one stop that is. Let's have a look and see who's on what as well, but we will find that out as we click over to the tyre strategies there. Dan Murphy there in P19 on the hard compound tyres. Kamara there in P18 on the hards as well. Irvine on the hards in P17. So a lot of drivers at the back of the grid starting on the hard compound tyres. Both the Red Bulls P16 and 15, not a good qualifying from them, are starting down the back of the order. Unfortunately, there's an Alpine off there. Far on the mediums in P14. Smithy as well in P13 on the medium compound tyres. Then Dopey Lem, it's Gordo unfortunately off the circuit at the exit of turn 3. So plenty of sweaters in there, says Serious Russian. Gordo there on the medium compound tyres. Dopey Lemons just outside the top 10 on the hard compound tyres. Then we've got Beast there on the mediums in P10, just inside the top 10. Nigel on the hards in P9, looking to get himself back up the order later on in this race. V-Todd on the mediums in P8. Welsh Marnado also on the mediums in P7. Jake the Slayer on the mediums, the highest of the medium runners in P6. Everybody else in the top 5, Cassell, Craigar and Dylan on the hard compound tyres. And our front row, Brabbit on the hards, and our pole sitter Equaz also on the hard compound tyres. So let's have a look and see how the race is going to go. Like I said, we've got the championship for the constructors still up for grabs here tonight. Of course, it depends on whether the Aston Martins or the Alpha Tauris are going to clinch it. It could go down to Abu Dhabi in a week's time. But let's have a look and see. It depends on how well the Aston Martins can score. Currently, if it was to finish 25 points there to 2, I think it would still be. I think the Alpha Tauris would still be crowned technically because they need to be outscored by quite a few points there to get the margin back down. So yeah, there we go. It's still all to play for though. We'll have to wait and see how it's going to unfold in this Chinese Grand Prix. So Silver Season 5, round 23, penultimate round of the season, just about to get ourselves underway. Right then, the cars are lined up on the grid. And we are ready to get going here for 28 laps around Shanghai. The 5 red lights are on here in China. The 5 red lights are out, and away we go for the 23rd round of the season. Equaz gets a good start. Dylan as well with a great start indeed on those hard compound tyres up to P2. Going to go around the outside of Brabbit there into turn 1. Turn 1's very treacherous indeed. There might be a few accidents through here, but it seems like everybody at the top of the field has got through very nicely indeed so far. Welsh Manado under pressure. Dylan's been dropping down the field. They're back towards P4, but Jake the Slayer trying to go around the outside on the medium compound tyres, using them to the best effect, but there's still stuck behind the Williams there for the time being. Dylan back down to P3. Brabbit getting himself back up the order, but Equaz trying to storm off in the distance into P1. Looking good indeed there for the pole sitter as well at this stage of the Grand Prix, or the first sector of the Grand Prix I should say. Already 1 second gap there for Equaz. Very, very good stuff indeed. Great start indeed as well. Cassell switching places as well with Smithy. Let's have a look at the position changes as well. We'll see some changes there for Cassell. He's dropped down the order there on the hard compound tyres. I think a few of the medium runners have got through. Gordo there's battling with V-Todd. V-Todd's down the order as well. So unfortunately there's not a good start there for the Ferrari driver as Craigar trying to get through as well. Craigar just dropped down the field quite significantly also. Both the drivers there, Cassell and Craigar, have lost out 6 places. I think, no, 5 places for for Cassell. 4 places now as Dopey Lemons unfortunately is off the circuit. Where's he gone? He's gone off the circuit at the beginning of sector 3 there, as you can see the cars there at the background going down the back straight. But Dopey Lemons there on the hard compound tyres has had a problem there. Kamara, sorry, he's got himself underway, thankfully. I thought he said he's had some issues there. Dan Murphy and Dan Murphy and Speed, sorry, having a battle as well down the back straight there in towards the hairpin. Might be a move here down the inside there for the Red Bull driver. Both on the hard compound tyres, of course. The hard's very hard, difficult indeed, I should say, to warm up as Equaz there crosses the line to finish off lap 1. Dan Murphy trying to go around the inside there of turn 1, the final turn, I should say. He's managed to keep the move now towards the top of the field there. We've got gaps already forming as Welsh, Manado and Slayer. What's happened to Slayer? He's ghosting. So Welshman Otto's got through, and I think that might be Slayer out of the race. He's already, I think he's lagged out or something there, Slayer, because he's not in the car anymore, is he? So unfortunately for Slayer, needs to get himself back in the session, and that is him going to be out of the race. So he's not. It hasn't said he's left the session, I don't think yet, or it's not popped up on my screen just yet. But nonetheless, he's out of this race. Well, he's not in the car, I should say, for the time being. So he needs to get himself back into the car as soon as he can. There, Ultimate Beast has got himself up into P5 in the time being. Nigel was up to P6, so he's gained 3 places there off the start. Beast has gained 5 places so far. Of course, on the medium compound tyres, he's flying indeed at this stage of the Grand Prix. Farf has got himself through as well. Now, unfortunately for Jake the Slayer, he's just dropping down the field whilst he's not in the car, whilst he's not in the session, that is. Cassell's the next to come through as well. But yeah, unfortunately, the biggest losers there for that opening stage is Craig Arthur. He's dropped down 7 places off the start of this Grand Prix. I'm not quite sure what happened to Craig there. Hopefully he's not got any damage, it doesn't look like, on the car. So hopefully he just can get himself back underway. And the same for Dopey Lemons as well, who had a spin there at the end of Sector 2 on the opening lap. But there we go. Right then, let's have a look and see what's going on up the order there. Brabbit there has kept himself within the 1 second window just about as Reflection and Irvine switching places down the back straight. Beast and Welshman Otto battling away through the hairpin. Beast trying to get himself up into P4. Can he, or can Welshman Otto come back through the final turn 16? Not quite, but she's got to just got the yield there behind the McLaren for the time being. But of course, DRS is now activated. Of course, they will have that down the back straight at the towards the end of this lap now. Beast now up into P4. He's gained 6 places there, of course, on the medium compound tyres, but they've got a 2-second gap down to the top 3. Gaps down, not down the order. They're forming down the order. Reflection and not Reflection. Kamara Racer and Irvine switching places as well as they go into the next battle. As down the inside goes Irvine, of course, turns to the outside then for turn 2, but he's not been able to get that move done. Kamara Racer up into P17 and trying to get himself past Reflection. Reflection's having a difficult time, it seems, at this stage. He's not having a great time. He's got 2.5 second gap. They're back to Dan Murphy. Can Kamara make any moves down the inside into turn 4 and 5? No, not quite. He has to sit behind for Sector 2. Irvine there going to have to sit behind, and so is Dopey Lemons as well. Unfortunately, they're being held up now by the Red Bull driver. Unfortunately, Reflection not having a good time there on the track. He's got to get himself sorted and back underway. Top 3 splitting away. Welshman Otto's off the circuit, and there's another Williams as well. Smithy is having a problem there at the back of the grid. Welshman Otto's got himself back underway, and I think Smithy has as well, just about. No, he's just got himself going. He's down the back of the order now, but Welshman Otto is battling away with Speed, Kai, and they go through the spoon curve, and Speed has got himself up into P12. V Todd there, very slow around the spoon curve, and Speed has capitalised indeed there in the Red Bull. Look at that, he's got himself flying through. Craig Ard trying to put the pressure on Gordo. He's got himself up in the points as well. Farf and Nigel switching places in towards the hairpin. Maybe there's some team orders there from the Alpha Tauri guys, as Farf there takes P5 away from his teammate. But unfortunately for Welshman Otto, recovering now. She's down in P13, and seems like the car's just struggling now. Unfortunately, it seems like when a mistake does happen, there's a few drivers there that just their head goes, doesn't it? And I think that is seems to be the case, unfortunately, for some. I mentioned Hungry Styles in that sense, well, in bronze, because that definitely happens to him. So there we go. Gordo there is all over the back of Slayer. Of course, Slayer not in the car just yet, so Gordo now up into P8. They're getting past the ghost car of the Haas. Unfortunately for Serious Mushroom, he was hoping that the Haas were going to be scoring points at this rate. I don't think so. But unless Jake the Slayer can get himself back in the car, and unless Irvine can get himself past Kamara and Reflection a bit of a bottleneck at the moment down in P15, unfortunately for the Red Bull driver. But hopefully he can get himself sorted and back underway. Cassell, unfortunately with that bad start, has got himself back underway as well. He's only lost 2 places there, but he's on the hard compound tyres, looking to go long in this first stint. So he will be able to try and get himself through the order later on in this Grand Prix. Of course, there's some drivers who started on the mediums, some on the hard compound tyres. Nobody on the soft compound tyres for this Chinese Grand Prix. No rain in the race, apparently, he says, for Gerben, so he's just hoping for some rain, but there isn't any going to be coming, I don't think. We've been told it is completely dry in this Grand Prix, according to Irvine, that is. So that is what we've been told, of course. Hopefully the game is set to give us the... we've got some issues there for Welshman Otto at the spoon curve, and yeah, like I was saying earlier, I think it is not going her way, unfortunately, at this stage of the Grand Prix. And now that is down the back of the field thereafter. Smithy gets through as well for P18. Speed cars up into the points now, of course, getting past the ghost car of Slayer, and that is the top 3 still trying to get away, but actually Beast is closing in now. He's got a 1.3 second gap to try and only a 2/10 gap now to try and close the deficit there to get in the DRS zone. He's not got much ERS to play with. He's probably burnt a lot of that electrical energy to try and get himself in the range of Dylan. But so far, so good there for Beast. We'll have a look at the tyre compounds as VTOL has been got past as well. Unfortunately, worse about not those tyres probably overheating there as he went around the spoon curve and spun the car. So thankfully got herself back underway now, trying to keep after Smithy now in the Williams. Out in front, Brabbit is losing touch here to the Aston Martin, and that is not good news there for the Mercedes. Of course, it's good news for Aston Martin, isn't it? But I don't think that's what Brabbit will be wanting. He's got Dylan breathing down his neck as well. 6/10 behind is the Williams driver, and here comes Beast as well. Beast is going to try and get himself within that 1 second window. He's got one corner to do it. Of course, DRS detection is right around this next right-hander, isn't it? So it's very close indeed. There it is on the line there. But he's not within that 1 second window as far as I can tell. Down the back of the order, Smithy's had a problem as well through sector 2, and that's demoted him back down to the very back of the grid. Unfortunately for him, Welshman has got through. Dopey Lemons is still going underway, but he's I think had a bit of a problem as well somewhere on the last few laps or so, because he's lost out as Kamara races off the circuit at the spoon curve, and that car was going very fast indeed around that curve, because he seemed to be flying off in one hell of an angle. He's got himself back underway. Gordo has been passed by Craig R, has he? No, Gordo's coming back at him through the hairpin, and Gordo's kept that place as well. Good stuff indeed. Gordo now is struggling to try and hold on to the next group of cars, but he's doing a good job indeed of holding on to that position and trying to battle for the points at this stage of the Grand Prix. Looking good indeed as we've got, I'm not quite sure if he's just having a twitch there or if there's something else going wrong with the car, but thankfully he's all right. Craig R not been able to make any moves down the main straight. Here comes Speed Kai down the inside of the McLaren, and could that be a P9 there for the Red Bull? It is a P9 for the Red Bull. He's got himself past the Boston McLaren of Craig R, I should say. Get my words out, but Craig R, they're still doing a good job there, got himself back in the points as Kamara Racer was retired in the pit lane and called it a day. Unfortunately, that is a pit and quit there for Kamara Racer, so that is not good news. I think that might be his second or maybe even third, which is very bad news indeed for his next Grand Prix. But anyway, Craig R is doing a good job trying to get himself back up the order after a difficult start. Not quite sure what happened to Craig on the start. He lost 6 or 7 places there, but he's got himself back in the points now. But unfortunately, like I said, just been passed there by the Red Bull Speed, who was started in P15, now up to P9. Good stuff indeed. Right then, out in the lead, we've got a massive gap now, or 1.5 second gap. It's not a massive gap, but it's a massive gap in Formula 1 terms. Here comes Dylan to make a move for P2. He tried to go that move very early on in the first couple of corners, didn't he, on lap 1. He's now made the move on lap 6, at the end of lap 6 there, for that second place, and is 1.5 seconds behind the Aston Martin of Echo, as Brabbit now slotting in behind, as Beast has got himself within that 1 second window, which is great news indeed for the McLaren driver. He needed to get that move done so he can get himself within that DRS and give himself the tow along as well. But up 6 places, Beast is looking good indeed for a podium potentially here. We'll have to find out how his pace is going to be on the remainder of this stint, and of course on the hard compound tyres later on. Dopey Lemons has had a problem there at the exit of the hairpin, putting the traction down. He's down to the back of the grid there. Kamara Racer is out of the session as well, so that is the first retirement of the Grand Prix, as Dopey Lemons is into the pits as well. So I'm not quite sure what's happening to Dopey Lemons. Hopefully he doesn't have to pit and quit as well, because it is not looking good indeed for himself and for either for Kamara Racer and for Dopey Lemons at this stage of the Grand Prix. A few drivers have had their issues as well. Welshman as he has pit and quit, so that is him done and dusted in this Grand Prix also. But Smithy Almighty and Welshman also have had their issues as well when they're soldering on at this stage of the Grand Prix. Like I said, out in front, Equaz now has got out that 1 second gap, and he's trying to split away at this stage, trying to get that gap as high up as possible as it can be, compared to the drivers on the hard compound tyres right behind him as well. Dylan there is 1.5 seconds behind Brabbit as well. It's going to stay within DRS there of the Williams, and Beast is being towed along nicely as well here in the P4 position there, Favre just out of the DRS there in P5, and his teammate of Nigel on the hard compound tyres is going to be using the DRS to try and get himself past, I think, very soon. There might be some team orders still in play there for AlphaTauri. Cassell there has dropped down 2 places from the start, but is looking good indeed for some points indeed as well. Speed, Kai and Gordo battling away there into the hairpin. Can the switchback be done there for the Red Bull driver? It's going to be close indeed. And again on the traction, I think Gordo there on the medium compound tyres has been able to keep hold of that place on those more grippy or faster tyres. As you can say, as Craig R's had a spin there at the exit of the final turn, and hopefully there's no damage there for Craig R. He's off the circuit majorly in a major way indeed, as he's just come back on the circuit there just behind Jake the Slayer. But But yeah, I think over the curbs there for the McLaren, and that is a spin and a half indeed, and sent him flying off in the end of sector 3. Of course, at the final turn, he's managed to keep himself going as well, though, as he keeps him. I don't think there's any damage there. It doesn't look like there's any rear wing damage, but I'm not quite sure. We can't really see the rear wing damage, can we? So we'll have to wait and see, and hope that he's okay and he can carry on. But unfortunately, Craig are there. That curb can throw you off majorly, can't it? And it spun him off in big style there at the final corner. On to lap 8 we go. We're only, well, what are we? We're about a quarter of the way through the race already. So, like I said, it's already been in action. Practice. Farf is off the circuit there at sector 2. He's back underway. His medium compound tyres, I think, maybe getting a bit worse for wear. As here comes Speed Car. Gordo's going to come through as well, I think, potentially. He's slotted himself in between the Alpine and the Red Bull for the time being. But I think Gordo will be looking to get himself past. Here comes VTOD as well, trying to put his nose in there. But not quite, as Gordo there is looking to get himself past the AlphaTauri as well. It's going to be tight indeed, I think, between all these drivers there. Dan Murphy's joined the battle too. Currently, the AlphaTauri drivers are both in the points, and that is going to clinch them the constructors' title. As Cassell getting past Nigel, is he? Nigel on the outside, though, on the hairpin. He's kept the position, and Cassell has had to drop back down behind. Gordo there getting himself past Farf there, up into P8 as well, back into P8, I should say. As here it comes, can he get himself the DRS with speed ahead as well? He can do. Onto the main straight we go. Far off there, of course, having that issue there in sector 2, has spun the car and has dropped down the field. Here comes Farf back past Gordo there. Can he go around the inside into turn 1? He's got the move done, but can Gordo there try and fight back there through this long curve? Of course, there's a few multiple lines you can take really through these turns 1 and 2 and 3, but no such dice there for Gordo. He's dropped down to P9 there behind Farf, but looking good at this stage of the Grand Prix for the Alpine driver as well. Diggis has said congratulations to Nigel as well. Hello to everybody, and good luck to Equaz in gold as well for him as well. So yeah, he's happy that Equaz, of course, is in the lead of the Grand Prix, but let's have a look and see how it's going to unfold at the moment. He's keeping the gap quite steady there to Dylan, 1.8 seconds, 1.7 seconds roughly, so it's not, once he's got himself out of that DRS range, he's now controlling the race, I think, is the race leader. The pole sitter, of course, he's looking to get himself maximum points here, of course, for the Aston Martin team to try and take the, well, he's doing the best that he can, of course, to try and take the Constructors' title to the final Grand Prix of the season in a week's time in Abu Dhabi, but at the moment it is AlphaTauri that is tying it all up at this stage of the Grand Prix, because of course they are both in the points, and they needed Aston Martin needed to outscore the AlphaTauris by quite some margin indeed. I think it was about 31 points indeed to try and take it to the next race. Currently they're getting 25 there for Equaz, but of course Nigel in P5 is getting 10 and Farf is getting 4. Dan Murphy not in the points just yet. Here comes Farf trying to get himself back past the Red Bull driver of Speed, and now down the straight we go. It looks like Speed's got a lot of speed indeed down the main straight, which is ironic. Well, no, it's not. It's kind of true, really, isn't it? It's true to his name. But yeah, Speed holds on to P7 for the time being. A bit of a bottleneck now forming behind the Red Bull driver. I think we saw that already forming behind Gordo as well when he was out in the lead of this train. Now Cassell is up in P6. He's got a 6-second gap to Speed in P7. So it's quite a bit of a margin there for the Red Bull driver to try and close down. But I'm sure we can see that gap come down throughout the next few laps, of course. Gordo's flying now, says Serious Mushroom. He's doing a great job indeed, is Gordo. He's battling away for some points. Of course, if he can stay within the DRS train, to be honest, that's pretty much all he needs to do. He can probably get himself pulled along and of course keep hold of some points for himself and the Alpine outfit later on in this Grand Prix. He's the only Alpine left in the race, of course, with Dopey Lewins pitting and quitting. So that is unfortunate scenes for one part of the Alpine garage. But Otmar's going to be cheering on his now main competitor there of Gordo, who is doing a good job there so far he's having a bit of trouble there going around the spoon curve, and that could have lost him a bit of time there indeed. He's managed to keep himself going. He's still within the 1 second window, but V Todd now is breathing down his neck as we go down the back straight here. V Todd now with some ERS and the DRS, of course, as well. Down towards the hairpin. Can he pull himself alongside the Alpine? No, not quite. He's had to sit behind for the time being as they go into turn 15, the final turn. Speed's had a problem there. The exit of the final corner, or penultimate corner, on the hairpin exit. He's dropped down behind Irvine now, unfortunately for Speed. He's getting himself back underway, but he's had a problem there. V Todd's being passed by Dan Murphy. V Todd's off the circuit at the exit of the final turn. Same place as what we had an issue with Craig R, and Craig R's got himself back underway, has he? There's a ghost car there. No, there's a ghost car of Slayer there. V Todd's back underway now behind Welsh Maldonado. Smithy there is Where's Smithy gone? He is on the main straight there. I'm not quite sure what happened there. Craig R's got himself back underway. V-Todd's back underway as well. But issues there for V-Todd on the final corner as well. That curb, either on the exit curb or on the entry curb, to be honest. Either one can throw you off, can't it? So you just need to make sure you get the angle right when you're turning into that final corner. Otherwise, it spits you off, as we've seen for Craig and for V-Todd as well now, as we enter lap 11. So there we go then, 1.6 is the gap now as well. So Ekwaz still maintaining the same gap as he has over the last few laps or so. Bradbitt there trying to stick with the Williams still as well. Ultimate Beast has dropped off the back of this pack now, I think, because we'll get rid of the position changes. We'll go on to the tyres, because we've seen the medium compound tyres. They've done well, this is the 11th lap there for those medium compound tyres. I think they're getting towards the end of their stint, or the end of their life cycle, put it that way, for the McLaren, and I think this might be it, as here comes Bradbitt there into the hairpin. No moves made for the Mercedes just yet. He's going to have to sit in behind the Williams once again. He's going to be very familiar with that rear diffuser, I think, of the Williams. But let's have a look and see if he's going to make any moves down the back straight. Ultimate Beast is into the pit lane. Oh, he's deep on the brakes as well. He's almost into the wall there, and that was close indeed there. Almost wing damage there for the McLaren, but thankfully kept it out of the wall just about. Farf is carrying on. Gordo is in the pit lane as well, making sure that he gets the turn in right as well. This time he's a lot better on the entry than Beast was, but there we go then. Beast onto the hard compound tyres, and I think that's his pit stops done and dusted in this race. Hopefully he can get to the end there on the hard compound tyres. He's going to be dropping down the order, of course, but we'll see where he comes out. Welsh Manada carries on in the Alfa Romeo. Slayer as well, of course. Slayer's not in the car, so he's not going to be able to take part in this Grand Prix anymore, but he is currently in P13. Of course, his Ghost has been P13 anyway. Beast out in P14, right behind the Ghost car of Slayer, and right behind Welsh Manada as well. And Gordo coming out the pit lane too. Smithy enters the pits there to change onto the hard compound tyres. Nigel's had a problem there in Sector 2. Nigel spun the car around and he's off the circuit, and his teammate coming back through as Dan Murphy as well slots himself up into P6 there, taking advantage there of the spin there for the championship leader, the championship winner, I should say. Nigel there's having a bit of a troubled time there on this next lap, on this next race, I should say, after he's clinched the title there in Portimao last week. He's having a few issues here in China as well. Beach gets himself up into P13, trying to get those hard compound tyres warmed up as well. And like I said, of course, they take a bit of a while to kick in, don't they, as well, especially after that very early pit stop as well. But he's got himself up into P13. V-Todd there on 11 lap old medium compound tyres still going as well on those old mediums. Gordo, of course, has made a pit stop. Same for Smithy onto the fresh hard compound tyres. So 3 strategic stops, I should say. Ekwaz carries on, of course. He's got a 1.4 second gap. The gap's coming down now to Dylan. Dylan maybe trying to put some pressure on the lead car now and see if he can get himself a move. Farf and Dan Murphy. No, Farf just going into pit lane. That is why he's dropped down the order. But, of course, on the medium compound tyres, he's now finished off that stint. He's done 12 laps on the mediums, now on to the hard compound tyres he will go. Welsh Manado also into the pit lane as well. I think we'll see some more medium runners pitting as well. It seems like Jet the Slayer is carrying on, but now Jet the Slayer and V-Todd are the only drivers left on the medium compound tyres. Here comes V-Todd there, down the into turn 1, I should say, but of course the Ghost car of Slayer hasn't got much to fight with. Of course, both these drivers now, the remaining drivers on the medium compound tyres as well. So that is the only 2 left on the medium compound tyres. Of course, the top 10 all started on those hard compound tyres, so they will be pitting from the hards to the mediums in about 3 or 4 laps, I would say. Not too long to go there on these hard compound tyres as well for those. But let's have a look and see now the gap coming down 1.2 seconds. I think Ekwaz might be under a bit of pressure here. Might see those that Williams getting looming closer in those wing mirrors, and might start to make a bit of might start to panic a bit here. Bradbitt there just holding on to DRS there from Dylan. Dylan's really putting a push on now to try and get himself within that DRS range, I think, of the Aston Martin in pole position. But at the moment, he's just outside of that window. Bradbitt going really deep on the brakes over to the hairpin. Oh, that's cost him a spin as well. And unfortunately for Bradbitt there, he's dropped him down the order there. He's got himself a margin to Cassell there, a P4. But unfortunately, I think that's his potential for anything better than P3 is done and dusted now for him. Manada's had a problem there and got herself back underway, though unfortunately Smithy's got himself through there for P16, but Welsh Manada getting herself back underway as well. But yeah, unfortunately for Bradbitt there, that spin has cost him big. We've got yellow flags as well, and once again for a McLaren, it's for Craig R, I think. It's Craig R at the final corner again. He's had another problem there as Craig on those hard compound tyres Unfortunately for Craig, he's dropped himself down the order there. Into the pits comes V Todd and Jake the Slayer. The final runners there to pit from the medium compound tyres onto the hards. But Craig are there, unfortunately, has had that spin. That's cost him majorly as well as he goes round again on those very overheated now hard compound tyres, and unfortunately I think that's cost him even more time as well, especially after making that extra start as well, basically, because having to try and get his tyres warm, cooled back down, I should say, before he can get himself back underway is going to be the next problem indeed for Craig R, unfortunately. So V Todd is now going to be closing in, of course, after making his stop as well. So V Todd, of course, onto the fresher tyres as well. Irvine's off the circuit there at Sector 2. He's got himself back around. But unfortunately for Irvine, off the circuit at Sector 2, we've seen a few drivers have issues there as well. Here comes Beast. Can he get himself through? He's got himself up into P9. Ahead now of the Haas driver, unfortunately for Irvine, having issues. Craig R's off the circuit again at the exit, well, in Sector 2, I should say. Because he's, like I said, those tyres are just too heated, I should say, on the McLaren. Unfortunately, that is why he's causing the spins, or more spins, of course. Once you overheat the tyres once, it is imperative you cool them down before you get the show back underway, because otherwise, like I said, you keep spinning again and again, and that is what we were seeing here. Irvine there trying to get himself back past Beast, but he's still going there, unfortunately for Irvine. Of course, Beast is the highest of the runners to make a stop so far in this Grand Prix, so he is potentially on the cards for a podium here as well. After Brabbitt's spin, we saw that Brabbitt and Beast were quite close together before the stops were made, of course, didn't we? So potentially we could see Ultimate Beast up into the points pen positions. Here comes yellow flags once again for Welsh Maldonado at the exit of Spoon Curve at the Sector 3 line. Sorry. And unfortunately for Welsh Maldonado, it's just not going her way in this Grand Prix. Cassell there has dropped off the back now of Brabbitt there. He looked like he was going to be holding a fight there to the Mercedes. Yellow flags again for V Todd. And where is that? That is in the pit lane. I think that's a safety car. Safety car has been called out, and that is for V Todd and Craig R. Why did he do that? so stupid. He's pit and quit when the safety car has just come out. So yeah, Craig R has decided to call it a day there as well. So there we go. V Todd has caused a safety car for crashing in the pit lane, it looks like. We should have seen on board with Welsh Maldonado. I think it was there on the entry. So Welsh Maldonado back in the pit lane. And there we go. So unfortunately, like I said, safety car's been called out there with V Todd's mistake there on the entry at the same time as Craig R has decided to pit and quit, which is a bit of a poor performance, poor showing there from Craig R, because like I said, he could have got himself back in this race. The leaders now into the pit lane. Equaz there from P1, of course. Dylan there into the pits as well. Brabbitt is going to follow him in. Cassell going to come in as well, I imagine. Dan Murphy is coming in also. I would think so anyway, because he is coming in the pit lane. So is Nigel as well from P6 there. Dylan, of course, claims the lead, of course, in the pit stops. Of course, this is going to change back around when they do come out the pit lane. Dylan is right behind. Anyone going to carry on? I don't think so. Oh, he's going to carry on, I think, is he? Let's have a look and see. He's carrying on. Yes, he is carrying on as well as he goes on to the main straight. Having to slow down there to adhere to the delta, and he's going to come out behind Cassell there. He's in P5. Of course, the drivers there switching from the hards to the mediums now. Beast has switched from the mediums already to the hard compound tyres, so it's gone a bit of a different way there for Beast. But of course, he is going to the end of the Grand Prix still at this stage. So there we go then. Craig R said he had rear wing damage. Clip it up then, please, Craig R, and put it into a ticket, and we will, of course, make sure that we don't get any penalties for pit and quit, and we'll make sure that that is sorted after the Grand Prix. So yeah, get that all done and dusted, and we'll be able to make sure that there's no penalties for that, of course, because obviously rear wing damage is incredibly difficult to drive with. Afaf actually experienced it in Gold, I think, last night. He was driving around the whole Grand Prix with rear wing damage, and he was spinning about 50 times, but yeah, he managed to soldier on somehow, but like I said, it wasn't very effective for him, was it? Everyone has made a pit stop under the apart from Jake the Slayer and for Gordo and for Ultimate Beast. Unfortunately, I think a pit stop would be the best option there for some people onto the medium compound tyres if they've got a fresh set of mediums. That is, some people might not have any mediums left. I would imagine they do, but there we go. Maybe some don't. They've used up everything they can possibly use, I should say. There we go. Welsh Maldonado, of course, is at the back of the train at the moment, but she's going to try and catch up, and we can get ourselves back underway here in the Chinese Grand Prix. 11 or so laps to go, I think, when the safety car comes in, depending on exactly which lap it is. So we've still got plenty of laps to go. Diggers has said so many drivers super fast, but more than just being fast is being race smart. And if Diggers could ever hit the nail on the head with one comment, I think that's pretty much it. So yeah, that is what I have to sum up from Diggers' comment there. Hopefully, if the wisdom from Diggers there translates to most of the drivers. To be fair, I would say in ALR, there's quite a few drivers there, of course, who know exactly what they're doing at all times. But there we go. Beast there is carrying on there on the hard combat tires. Same for Cordo. Jake the Slayer, of course, not in the session, so that is pretty much 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drivers there out of the race already. Yeah, not a good race of attrition there for the silver drivers tonight. It seems like quite a few there have decided to have a problem at least, or have had problems that have faced them as well. Not quite sure what happened to Kamara Racer though. Dopey Lemon's pit and quit, and VTOD of course caused the safety car here as well with the crash in the pit entry. Craigar had to pit and quit apparently with rear wing damage, so we'll have to have a look at that after the Grand Prix with the footage that he's got. Then hopefully we can of course absolve any issues there with that one. Of course, if you pit and quit with rear wing damage, and you are absolved of any issues, and you're not going to get a penalty for that. Of course, if you pit and quit just because you're having a bad race, then that's a license point added to your tally. But at the moment, 14 runners left in the Grand Prix from the 19 that we started with. Unfortunately, it's been a bit of a difficult one for Silver, it looks like. They've not been able to take to China as well as we hoped as well. Unfortunately, like I said, it's usually the best performance of the week from Silver, isn't it? We're accustomed to that anyway. Well, I am anyway, especially because Silver is the best. I have to say that as the admin, but it's true. There we go then. So Nigel's got himself up 3 places there from P9. We'll have a quick look at the position changes from this one. Up 12 places is Dan Murphy there, 5 for Beast as well. That's looking good indeed, but of course he's on a hard compound tyres now compared to those with fresh mediums. Jake the Slayer has woken up. He's joined the session back. Of course he's down the field there. He started in P4, but he's now no, he didn't. He started in P6, I think. But he's now into the session after a power cut. He's got himself back underway. The safety car is helping him though. Will the safety car come in this lap though? We'll have to wait and see. Let's have a look. It's not going to be coming in just yet, I think. Welsh Maldonado is very close indeed, as it is coming in this lap. It's a very late call indeed as well, as Equaz has only got 1 corner now left to get the gap there to the safety car, wait for it to get into the pit lane and get himself underway. So let's have a look and see when we're going to get ourselves going here from the race lead. Here we go then. Slayer said he's back on the hards, yeah, but he's on the freshest hard compound tyres there of the grid. Away we go for the restart of this Grand Prix. Equaz leading us away now onto lap 18 we go. We've got 11 laps, like I was saying, to the end of this Grand Prix. Down the order, Beast and Cassell there switching places. Cassell's been got himself past the hard runner there of the McLaren. Nigel trying to get his nose down the inside as well. Here comes Dan Murphy down the inside into turn 2. No moves being made just yet, but looking very opportunistic there as we got an Alpine off the circuit. There's Gordo's had a problem down the hard compound tyres. I think trying to heat those tyres up compared to those on the medium compound tyres has been a bit of an issue there. Jake the Slayer's got himself back underway as a move's being made between the Red Bull drivers as well, getting themselves past Farf, and Reflection now up into P8. This is going to be tight with his teammate there as well. That's close indeed, and Farf trying to stick his nose down the inside through sector 2. This is not an overtaking place, but they're going for it. Both the Red Bull drivers there. There's no team orders from Christian Horner, of course, and Farf there from the sister team in the AlphaTauri is trying to stick his nose in as well. So a Speed retains hold of P8 somehow through all of that. A Reflection there battling off his rival there of Farf, and now into the spoon curve we go as Beast is dropping down the order there. He's being overtaken there by Dan Murphy. He's really having struggles there on those hard compound tyres. Is Beast. We saw I think without the safety car we could have seen Beast back on the podium there. He looked like he might have been within the range of a podium potentially. We'll have to wait and see. We'll have to look back on it, I should say. But now down the back straight towards turn 15, the hairpin as well. Dan Murphy going down the inside there of the championship winner Nigel's off the circuit there, and that could open the door for Beast. No, not quite. Farf and Reflection as well switching places. Irvine has joined the battle too as Brabbit sets the fastest lap of the race there. But blimey, that's action-packed indeed, isn't it? On this restart, all of the drivers there jumping into the order there, into the queue. Unfortunately for the hard runners, Jake the Slayer there and Gordo there dropping down the order there. I think Gordo on 7-lap-old hards can get to the end of the Grand Prix, but it's not really helped his strategy, has it? Jake the Slayer on 5-lap-old hards, and then we've got Beast in P7 on 7-lap-old hards as well. So Jake the Slayer's on the freshest hard compound tyres of the 3 that are on the hards. Everybody else is on 3 or 4-lap-old medium compound tyres. So like I said, they're going to be a bit faster at this stage of the Grand Prix. Potentially we might see the mediums start to drop off towards the end of the Grand Prix, and the hards might factor back in. We'll find out. But at the top of the order there, Dan Murphy now has lost out the 1.8 second gap there to the top 4, and that is going to cause a bit of a bottleneck now between himself and the top drivers. Slayer is now called Arthur, says Serious Smash. I'm not quite sure what that is, but there we go. Maybe there's an Excalibur joke in there somewhere, depending on whether he's falling on his sword or not. Speed Kai there in P8 there, right behind Beast. Now Beast is causing a bit of a bottleneck here as well. He's got a 1 second gap there to Nigel, but of course the DRS are going to be activated at the end of this lap, beginning of lap 20 that is. So let's have a look and see if Beast can try and hold on. Of course, he needs that DRS from the drivers ahead to try and pull himself along. But here comes Speed Kai anyway, around the outside, I should say, into the hairpin. It's going to be close indeed between the two of them. Beast is pushing him a bit wide there. He's left himself enough room there, or left the Red Bull enough room there, I should say. But there we go. Beast has had to keep hold of that P7 for the time being. Dan Murphy sets the fastest lap of the race there to try and get himself back within the range of the rest of the pack either ahead of him. Welsh Mount picks up a penalty there. I think Welsh Mount having an issue for the only penalty of the race so far. Beast and Speed battling through turns 1 and 2 and 3, and I think the Red Bull now with the inside on the medium compact tyres potentially should have it. We'll have to wait and see. Here they come now round the spoon curves, and it's still side by side between the Red Bull and the McLaren as we go down into the next hairpin there, the beginning of sector 2. Around the outside goes Speed. Can he hold it around the outside this time? Not quite. It's close indeed, but it's still going to be a battle, and we've seen Speed already battling through sector 2 side by side with his teammate nonetheless, and it looks like Speed this time has held on to the position. He's got the place, I should say. He's held on to the place up to P7 now is the Red Bull. But again, at what cost? Because he's now lost out the DRS there to Nigel. Nigel's flying off the circuit there in sector 2. He's not having a great time in China. I don't think is the championship winner of the last round. He's won it in round 22, of course, didn't he? Yellow flags down the back of the order. It's Gordo. Gordo's off the circuit. He's lost his front wing. It's another safety car, and that is it's good news for Gordo because he can get himself back underway. Jake the Slayer might be able to pit as well. I don't think the softs will be able to get to the end from here as well, especially seeing as it's going to be a very short safety car indeed, with the field so bunched up as well at this stage of the Grand Prix after the first safety car as well. So now the safety car is back out. Let's have a look and see if anybody's going to take the opportunity to pit, or are they going to stay out there and try and get themselves to the end. It's good for the medium compound tyres. Of course, they're going to be able to extend the life. We have got somebody in the background there into the pit lane. It is Speed Kai. He's into the pits there from 5-lap-old medium compound tyres. So he decided that they're not going to be able to last. Well, they're not going to be able to be most effective there to the end. He wants to go on to a different strategy now for the Red Bull. I don't think Soft will make it to the end for Gordo there, but he is in the pits anyway. And the Speed is onto the soft compound tyres also. Same for Jake the Slayer, same for Welsh Madnada, all on the soft compound tyres it looks like. Sorry, my nose is itchy. Jake the Slayer's gone on to 13-lap-old medium compound tyres, so I'm not quite sure what's happened there to Jake the Slayer, unless it's telling him that those are fresh mediums, but they're definitely not on my screen. 13 laps is much older than those who have currently stayed out on the grid, but there we go then. Gordo is making his way back out of the pit lane now onto the soft compound tyres. Might as well try something, says Gordo. Yep, I think there's a few who've done that as well. Welsh Bernardo has tried it. So has Speed in the Red Bull as well. Like I was saying, I don't think we're going to be back underway on lap 23. So that would be 6 laps of running. Of course, you've got the laps behind us and under the safety car as well. So I wouldn't recommend the soft compound tyres, is my personal opinion. But there we go. But that is my personal thoughts. Of course, I don't know what it's like there down on the track, and there might be some differences on the track temperatures and the track surfaces, that sort of thing, that are playing into the factor there. Maybe the soft compound tyres will be absolutely brilliant. I don't have a clue. So there we go. Right then, we are back behind the safety car. We've just got the likes of Gordo, Jake the Slayer, and Welsh Manada just to catch up to the back of the queue, and we will be back underway, I think, on the next lap, not on this lap. So it'll be another lap's time, and there we go. Gent Slayer said it's put me on old mediums. Yes, it has. I would advise pitting for another set of tyres, potentially the soft compound tyres as well. It seems like the drivers around you have decided the soft compound tyres are going to be good enough to the end, so it's worth a shot. But everybody else everybody else above P13 or P13 and above, I should say, looks like they're staying out for the time being. Jake the Slayer is in the pits as Welshman Arnada does carry on. Gordo there coming around the hairpin now to finish off his lap. So Gordo there is just finishing off the lap as well, going up to P13 there. We're going to be hopefully resuming very soon, but we'll have to wait and see. Slayer is in the pit lane there, hopefully to get a set of soft compound tyres onto the Haas, and that will be the pit stops all done and dusted there for the rest of this Grand Prix, I would hope. Of course, we're going to be back underway hopefully very soon as well, and then that will be, I think it's going to be about a 5 or 6 lap stint there to the end of the Grand Prix on the restart of this race, obviously depending on when we get ourselves back underway. But it looks like Burton there is itching to get himself back in the pit lane, probably for another nice cup of cocoa after a very relaxing tour around the Shanghai International Circuit. But like I said, at the moment that is the top 11, well, so 10 of the top 11, I should say, have done 6 laps on their. Well, I'm not sure what happened to Dylan there. It seemed like he was sliding through that corner. Like I said, at the top of the 10 of the top 11, I should say, on 6-lap old medium compound tyres. Beast in P7 on the old hards, 10-lap old hards for the McLaren in P7. He's the only McLaren left in this Grand Prix. And then we've got 4 drivers on the soft compound tyres from P12 downwards. They are the remaining drivers, I should say, in this Grand Prix, as the safety car has been notified that it's coming in much earlier on than last time. So it's going around the spoon curve now, and will be able to power down the back straight there and get himself into the pit lane well in time for Equaz to restart this Grand Prix with a bit more notice now. So that's good news indeed. Jake the Slayer said he's on old soft. No, you're not. You're on the freshest soft compound tyres compared to everybody else. It says 0 laps there for me, and everyone else is on 1 lap old tyres, 1 lap old soft compound tyres, that is. So there we go. So their tyre wear must be much worse than yours as well. Here we go then. Yellow flag in Sector 3 as Cassell is out of the Grand Prix. And what's happened to Cassell there? He's had an issue, and he has crashed off the circuit there under safety car, which is one hell of an achievement indeed. Anyway, regardless of that, unfortunately we've got to carry on the Grand Prix, but that would have nonetheless brought out another safety car if it had happened any other time. Equaz there leads us away there for the second time, and looking to try and get himself, as Bradley picks up a penalty there, going wide there at the final turn. Cassell's out of the race, and that is now 14 drivers left in the session, unfortunately. Like I was saying, unfortunately for Cassell, there seemed to have an issue there on the back straight somehow, maybe just trying to warm up his tyres or something, but he's out of the Grand Prix. Farf and Beast battling away as we go into turn 1 and 2. And Farf trying to making sure that he leaves enough room, I would imagine. Here comes Beast. They're back trying to battle back there. He's down to P7. There's Beast. I think actually he was in P7 anyway, so I think Farf maybe had a bit of a difficult restart. Smithy and Welshman Arnada switching places as Welshman Arnada on the soft compound tyres has got herself up into P11. Of course, the penalties will be added on at the end of the Grand Prix. Beast is dropping down the order. Beast is off the circuit at the exit of the hairpin. I'm not quite sure if there was just an incident there or if it was putting the power down a bit too early for the McLaren driver, but that is him having a spin there. Smithy's dropping down behind Gordo. Gordo's got himself through on that on the soft compound tyres as well. The softs are the one to be on, it looks like, at the restart of this Grand Prix for the second time, that is. And Beast hopefully can put himself onto the soft compound tyres and go for a fastest lap point at the end later on in this Grand Prix. Speed has got himself past his teammate there, up into Sector 3 we go now. Speed is up into the points, back into the points I should say. He's up into P8 there, trying to chase down Irvine now as well, as a reflection there, letting his teammate through on those older medium compound tyres. Welshman Arnada is going to try and battle through as well, potentially points on offer for Welshman Arnada here. Of course the penalties will be added on to the race time at the end. But if she can get herself 3 seconds ahead of the drivers who are going to be finishing just behind her, then that is potentially... Oh, she's gone very deep into the hairpin there, indeed, looking almost into the back of the Red Bull there, unfortunately, for the Alfa Romeo. And now looking down the inside there into the final turn. I don't think that's an overtaking move at the moment, as we go down onto the main straight we go. But fastest lap being set by Speed, as we've got yellow flags in the background for Beast. Again, he's had a problem there at the exit of the hairpin, getting himself back underway. The McLaren there is not having a good time there on those hard compound tyres. He has got himself to the pits, so hopefully he can get himself, like I said, onto the soft compound tyres to the end of the Grand Prix. And of course, for that extra point as well, potentially, Beast has got some pace in him, hasn't he? We've seen that before, and potentially can get himself the extra point for the fastest lap. Slayer has got himself past Smithy there. Smithy's struggling now on those old medium compound tyres, and unfortunately is now down the back of the order as Welshman Otto is trying to get himself past Reflection, but hasn't been able to get through, and that has really cost her a lot of time there at this stage of the Grand Prix. Potentially could cost her a point at the end of the Grand Prix as well with the penalty, so we'll have to wait and see. Brabbit, of course, is potentially cost himself a podium as well with that penalty at the exit of the final turn on the restart. And that is not good news there for himself and for the Mercedes outfit. Speed's got himself past Irvine, has he, into Sector 3. Irvine trying to come back, him with a switch back here, down into Spoon Curve. It's going to be close indeed. On the soft compound tyres, he'd expect him to breeze round the outside. He has breezed round the outside indeed as well. Good stuff indeed. Welshman Otto's off the circuit, and Gordo's up in the points, and Welshman Otto's had an issue there at the Spoon Curve, and unfortunately that is the Alfa Romeo off the circuit again at the Spoon Corner. I think that's the third or second or third time that's happened, unfortunately. Gordo now up into the points, and Jake the Slayer trying to bear down as well. He's got 2 seconds to try and gain to get himself into the top 10. Smithy and White is going to try and use the DRS as well to pull himself along. DRS has been enabled now at the end of this lap, so of course it's going to be available for the next 3 laps or so. 4 laps I should say, because we're on lap 25, aren't we? So there's more laps going than I thought there was going to be fair. So like I said, I think that could mean that there's going to be some more moves being made as Welshman Otto does enter the pit lane. There we go then. So like I said, Beast is onto the soft compound tyres as well, so the same for Welsh Maldonado, I think. I don't think there's any wing damage there for the Alfa Romeo, is there? No, it seems just a tyres change, of course, after those soft compound tyres were probably very cooked indeed. Potentially the soft compound tyres weren't going to make it to the end of the race anyway. We did expect them to wear out quite quickly. They still got to do another 4 laps on them as well. So those who've done, well, this is the 5th lap actually for Speed and for Gordo on those soft compound tyres. They've still got to do another 4 laps, so there's going to be 9 laps, a 9-lap stint on the soft compound tyres. I don't think they're going to be able to last that long, I'm afraid. It's going to be difficult indeed. Gordo, though, doing a good job there on the softs. He's up into P10 there and looking to hold on. Down the back of the order. What's happened to Welshman Otto? Again, she's had a problem there on the exit of the, getting herself back underway after the pit stop phase, which is bad news indeed. Dylan, though, has got DRS now on the race leader. This is promising indeed there for Dylan. Can he get himself into the lead of the Grand Prix? Can he take the win here in China? It looked like he might have been set for pole position as Gordo's got himself past Reflection, has he? Into the hairpin. He has got the move on the Red Bull driver. That's sliding Alpine there. That is very bad news indeed. He's got the position though with a great overtake, but unfortunately for Gordo, that is exactly what you don't want to do, especially on those soft compound tyres. It's just going to overheat the tyres, and it's going to, of course, wear the tyres out a lot quicker as Gordo now under pressure from Reflection. Round the outside goes the Red Bull driver. Can he hold the place though into turn 2? He's trying to hold it around the outside there. Gordo, I think, has got the angle there. He's got the speed and the grip just about on those soft compound tyres still to hold on to that P9 position there. Good stuff indeed. Of course, we were expecting, like I was saying, the medium compound tyres did about 12 laps, didn't they? So they are getting towards the end of their lifespan here, and the softs might be able to get themselves back in the phase if they, of course, can last themselves to the end of the Grand Prix. Beast sets the fastest lap of the race there. Good stuff indeed from Beast for carrying on, and fair play to him as well. Welshman Otto is carrying on as well. Good stuff to her. Also up the top of the field, the top 7 now are not split by anything. They're all within the DRS range of each other. Irvine, unfortunately, has dropped down the order. He's in P8 at the moment. He's the only Haas. No, he's not. I was going to say he's the only Haas left in the race. I completely forgot about Slayer getting himself back in the Grand Prix. But unfortunately for Slayer, he's currently just outside the points by 1.6 seconds. It could still come back to him, though. Brabbit there has got his penalty that's going to be added on. We're on to lap 26. We're going to have 2 laps remaining now as we get ourselves now onto the back straight. ERS and DRS available now for Dylan as well. Dylan, we're looking on the back of the Williams here, but we want to be looking forward as Brabbit going very late on the brakes indeed into the hairpin and gaining a lot of time under the braking there as he's now trying to get himself out of that 1 second window of Dan Murphy. If he can get himself outside that 1 second window, can the top 3 pull away and get Brabbit that 3 second gap that he probably desperately needs? A Red Bull going very wide at the back of the grid there at the final corner. He's up in his speed car in P7 there. Struggling to keep the car in the track limits, but he has done so far. So good stuff indeed. Reflection and Gordo. Reflection's now dropping off the back here of the Alpine, and that could be good news indeed for Gordo. He could be able to cling on to a couple of points here in the Alpine car, even though he's having his issues there during the Grand Prix. Or as I said that, he looked like he was sliding off the circuit at the exit of the corner there. Thankfully, kept it under control. But yeah, blimey, that was close indeed from Gordo. But a very good job indeed, like I said, of so far in this Grand Prix, and also for controlling that car as well through a difficult period of the race. Difficult race indeed, I think, for Gordo as well. Welshman Nano sets the fastest lap of the race. Great stuff indeed. They're both the McLaren and the Alfa Romeo. They're going to be fighting for that final point. But as Nigel picks up a penalty, that is bad news indeed for Nigel as well. That could put him down to P8, P9 as well, potentially. Yellow flags in the back of the order. That is for Gordo, is it? No, Gordo there has ruined his race. It was going so well for Gordo. He's out in the points now, unfortunately, for the Alpine driver. I was just saying he was doing a great job, and unfortunately, I think I might have jinxed him there, which is the curse of the commentator. Once again, striking there to claim another victim, unfortunately, there for Gordo. I'm very sorry. It's probably my fault. But there we go. Farf now trying to get himself past his teammate. Nigel, of course, who's got that penalty there, has dropped out of the DRS range from Dan Murphy as well. And I think there might be some problems there for Nigel there. He's dropping down the order. Farf has got himself through into P5, but Nigel now is in P6 there, trying to get himself back up the order. But of course, that 3 second penalty is going to be coming back to bite him when they finish off this lap, which is the final lap of the Grand Prix. Speed is going to try and get himself up the order as well. He's going to gain a place on Nigel anyway because of the penalties. We'll have to wait and see where Brabbett's going to drop down to as well, with the 3 second penalty for him as well. So there is still penalties to be added on at the end of this Grand Prix. Unfortunately for Gordo, it's a big shame indeed, because like I was saying, Gordo's doing a great job and looking to get some points potentially in this Grand Prix as well, but unfortunately not the case. Farf and not Farf, it's Nigel and Speed battling away through into Sector 2 now, and Speed we've seen make a move around the outside here, but I think the soft compound tyres have given up now at this stage. They think the medium compound tyres, to be fair, have given up as well. I think they've been struggling at this in this final few laps as well, so I think both the soft compound tyres and the mediums now are getting to the end of the phase where neither of them are going to be very competitive at all at this stage of the Grand Prix. Out in front, we've got just over a second, or just under a second gap there to Dylan and Ekwaz there as we go around the spoon curve for the final time into Sector 3. We go down at the back straight. We go Dylan there using all the ERS, all the DRS as well, but of course ERS to play with for the Aston Martin as well as we go down towards the back of the grid, back of the lap now to finish off the final lap there for the Chinese Grand Prix. And I think, unfortunately for Aston Martin, they have not done enough here to take the championship to the final race. But Ekwaz here crosses the line to win round 23 of this Silver Season 5, the Chinese Grand Prix. It is done and dusted. Ekwaz in the Aston Martin claims the victory. What a Grand Prix indeed, and what a pole position to win for the Aston Martin as well. Dylan there in P2 with a good driver indeed as well. He was right behind Ekwaz for most of it. But there we go. Good stuff indeed from the Williams driver as well. Dan Murphy there in the podium places, I should say, with a great drive as well. And Aston Martin making it a double podium there for the Aston Martin outfit. As not quite sure what's happened. I think there's a problem there for somebody at the back of the grid. But nonetheless, a great podium there for Dan Murphy. That is 15 points there for Aston Martin. That's 25 points there for the Aston Martin. That's 40 points. Farf there has got 12 points, and Nigel has got 4 points as well. So that is 18 points to the AlphaTauri drivers. So that is a 22-point swing. But unfortunately, the gap was 74 points, wasn't it? So that is now 54 points. So technically, there's not enough points left on offer. Unfortunately, for the Aston Martin drivers to clinch or to keep the constructors title alive. AlphaTauri are your constructors winners for Silver Season 5, with a great race indeed from both drivers there. Not the best that we've seen from the AlphaTauri drivers today, but they've done enough to clinch the constructors title here in Shanghai. Great stuff indeed there from both Farf and Nigel there, with a fantastic season for both the AlphaTauri drivers as well. But they've won the battle. They've won the war. The battle, of course, today has been won by the Aston Martin drivers there. Double podium there for the Aston Martins, as Ekwaz there takes the win there. Dylan in P2 in the Williams, and Dan Murphy in P3. There we go then. There is your classification then for the Chinese Grand Prix. Ekraz takes the win from pole position. Dylan in P2. Dan Murphy P3. Farf just outside in P4. Brabbit in P5 there after that penalty was added on, so he didn't lose too much time there in the end with that 3 seconds added on. Speed Kai there in P6, Irvine P7, Nigel in P8 there with the penalty as well, Reflection in P9, Jake the Slayer did get a point in the end in the Haas, Smithy in P11, Gordo in P12, unfortunate incident there at the end, which unfortunately cost him the points as well. Beast there in P13, Welshman Otto gets the fastest lap point, so well done to her for soldiering on there in P14. Cassell there, DNF there on the when the safety car was coming in on the back straight. Craig R pitting quit with the rear wing damage we suspect. V Todd there caused the first safety car were crashing into the pit entry. Dopey Lemons there pit and quit, and Kamara Racer pit and quit as well. But blimey, that is your Chinese Grand Prix. That's one hell of a Chinese Grand Prix as well, isn't it? Good stuff indeed. Hopefully we can get some interviews there with the drivers as well. But we'll have to wait and see. Or they have been added to the party as well. That's good. That's good. So there we go then. Like I said, that is the order then for the Chinese Grand Prix. Fantastic stuff indeed there from the 14 drivers who did finish the Grand Prix. Unfortunately, 5 there did not, which is a big shame indeed. But there we go. So that is that then for the for round 23. The penultimate round is done. We only have one race remaining here in the silver season. And of course that is Abu Dhabi in a week's time, so stay tuned to ALR. Of course we have more with the Chinese Grand Prix for bronze round 23 tomorrow night from 7:30 p.m. as well, and then we have the 100% League around Monaco of all places. Pitting and quitting is enabled, don't you worry for that one, because it's going to be one hell of a Grand Prix, but one hell of a fun Grand Prix as well. It's going to be a bit of a show there for the penultimate race there in the 100% League as well on Wednesday night 7:30 p.m. as well, so feel free to jump into that one as well if you're interested. It will be a good bit of fun, but we'll get the interviews underway now, of course, with the podium drivers jumping into the comms box as well. So there we go. Dan, driver of the day, says that Serious Russian. I would have to say so as well. 19th to 3rd is not too shabby indeed. Let's have a look and see if we've got the audio settings sorted out, and hopefully we do. Yeah, we do. Good stuff indeed. Right then, I think we're ready to crack on with. We'll start with P3. I don't know if Ekraz has joined us, but we'll start with P3. Dan Murphy there from P19 to P3. How was that for you?
That was a great race, mate. I loved that.
Good stuff. So
I was on edge the whole race, and like having the champion Nigel behind me didn't make it any easier. But I managed to keep him at bay, and hopefully Brabbit got a penalty, so I was quids in.
Unfortunately, it wasn't enough to take the constructors' title to the final race, but. How would you sum up your season there for Aston Martin? Both the most consistent drivers, I would say, in the grid for silver, in the same team. That's brought you one hell of a lot of points over the season and over the Grand Prix as well today.
Yeah, I mean, Ekraz, he's been so consistent. He's been fighting for a championship. He's been leading the team. He's been a brilliant teammate, and I've just been doing what I do and not bothering with qualifying and hoping for the best, really. And it's worked out so far.
It's worked out in this race for sure as well, and like I said, when the safety car came out, I think it sort of helped. Well, it helped quite a few drivers, to be fair, who started on the hard compound tyres like yourself. And what did you think when the second safety car came out? Did you think you were going to try on the softs, or do you can stay on the medium compound tyres from the second safety car anyway?
I was just going to copy what the leaders done. So obviously I was in like 4th place at the time, and none of them pitted. So I was just like, I just stay out with them, stay in that little train.
Well, you got it in the end. There's a podium there from yourself as well for well, thanks to Brabbit as well with his penalty coming around the final corner there on the safety car restart number 2. That cost him the penalty, but yeah, great stuff indeed from Dan from 19th on the grid. Dylan there is Dylan. I think Dylan's with us.
Yeah.
Dylan there at P2. What happened to you in qualifying? Because we thought you had pole position all wrapped up, and I think you might have got blocked in the final run.
Yeah, I got blocked by Farf on my final lap, but I was slower than my fastest lap anyway. So
you weren't going to be able to get that pole position, do you reckon?
No.
It looked unfortunate there, because I think it definitely looked between yourself and Ekraz for the battle there. I did say that Rabbit sort of popped out of nowhere in that qualifying, because it was looking between yourself and the Aston Martin driver for that pole position. But nonetheless, you put it on in P3 and pretty much just kept it clean and calm for most of the Grand Prix. You're putting the pressure on Ekwaz here and there as well. Did you think when he got that 1 second window that you won't be able to hold on, or were you just waiting to bide your time?
At the time, it's more or less by my time. Is there any opportunities? But what you call it, E-Craze, so it's just what you call it, on his A game today. So yeah, it's pretty much them kind of situation. It's what you call it, he's on top today.
But well, with the safety cars, that brought you back into contention, I think, for the win potentially as well. With the obviously bringing you back in that 1 second window. Did you think you might have had the win today?
It's like 50-50. It's like half a chance that like could get, but no. As I said, what you call it, E-Craze are just on his A game today. I felt my pace was very good during that race, in my opinion. But what you call it, E-Craze are just a different level today.
Well, you put in a good show regardless anyway, and some good points there for yourself and the Williams team tonight in P2. So good result indeed for you. I don't know if Ekwaz has joined us, but hopefully he has. Ekwaz, are you there? He is there. The race winner, of course, pole sitter as well. You put it on pole position there, and it looked quite commanding, to be fair, in the first stint there on the hard compound tyres. You pulled a gap there to Dylan and Brabbit, who were battling behind you, and then just sort of seemed to control the pace from there on, really. Did the safety car get you a bit more nervous when when of course you saw Dylan and everybody else join up to the back of you?
Yeah, thanks everyone. Yeah, I enjoyed that, thanks. Yeah, the safety cars were a little bit scary because like, everyone gets bunched up. I didn't know when to restart, if I should go a bit early, a bit late. I noticed that during the race, especially in the final turn, I don't know what it is, I just can't get that corner really good. And I noticed that Dylan was always catching me at that exact spot. So it was tricky to call the safety car restarts, but it was a fun race, I enjoyed that.
Well, I'm pretty sure you did lead from literally from the start to the checkered flag, to be honest. So, fantastic race from yourself from pole position as well. Wasn't quite the Grand Slam there with the fastest lap, but nonetheless, you did a great job there. And like I was saying with Dan earlier on, unfortunately, Aston Martin just couldn't get enough points there to clinch or keep the constructors going to the final round, of course, in next week in Abu Dhabi. But a fantastic performance from yourself this season and from Aston Martin to keep the fight going all the way to the penultimate round of the season, I should say. And what's your thoughts as well from your point of view of this season as well?
Yeah, it's been a tough season. I didn't really expect to even really be fighting for the championship. I think my first two performances wasn't great, but during the middle I was just staying consistent. But the champion Nigel was just fantastic the whole season, even though he missed like 2 races halfway through, and like that was a chance for me and Fanjo to capitalise, but unfortunately we didn't. And yeah, Dan Murphy's been a great teammate as well, super helpful. Even though he starts at the back, somehow he still gets these podiums. Is insane. And yeah, just been a great teammate. And everyone else as well on the whole roster has just been really good, really clean driving. I think I only had maybe like 2 or 3 incidents during the whole season, which was pretty good. And yeah, it's been fun. Really enjoyed it. Even though I've come second, I've really enjoyed it.
Good stuff indeed. And well, the final thought then on that as well. What are you thinking for gold next season?
I just hope that I get paired with someone really fast and try and go for constructors. I'm not fast enough. I don't think at this time to be fighting for drivers' championship, but I'll definitely be there to support for the constructors.
We've seen your pace. I think we can get some points on the board for yourself for sure in gold as well. We'll see next season, but fantastic stuff from all the guys on the podium as well tonight. Of course, we've got one more race to go in a week's time there in Abu Dhabi there to close off the season And then we'll be cracking on with, of course, Season 6 of Silver and Season 9 of Gold, of course, as well for Equaz on the new game there in probably July time. I'm not quite sure. We'll have to figure it out. So stay tuned to ALR. Of course, we've got some more silver action, not silver action. We've got some more bronze action for you tomorrow night, and then the 100% on the Wednesday as well. So there's plenty more action coming up to you this week, and then we'll be rounding off the season there in a week's time.